I had a great pleasure to meet in Boston in Circus Congress Bruce'm Ryder, very great friend of Polish people, especially very close by my heart and my family. Bruce'm Ryder is the emeritus professor of orthopedic surgery, University of Chicago, editor-in-chief, American Journal of Sport Medicine for many years, and currently since about 10 years, at Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine as well. Professor Ryder, it's a great pleasure to have you here. When we met first time in Poland, I was very strange that you are so kind person in so high position. That was very strange for me and very great. And I'm happy to see you in the good health and good shape for 7 years already we've met.
It's been a great pleasure to be your friend and colleague, Dr. Sadlik. I think you've learned I'm just a regular person. I'm not anything special, but I like to help my fellow orthopedic surgeons around the world as much as I can.
Yes, everybody knows it. Okay, when we see each other here, I would like to ask you some questions, which was always interesting to me. First, we talk about American Journal of Sport Medicine because there is a great story. Currently, we have a 15th anniversary of the journal, and after this 50 years, American Journal of Sport Medicine is one of the most recognized scientific titles in the world of sports orthopedics, with amazing impact factor around 8 points. How you did it?
Well, I certainly didn't all do it myself. We started out with very humble beginnings. The journal started in 1972, and it actually was the idea of a small publisher in Connecticut in the U.S. who approached Dr. Jack Houston, a real icon in the history of sports medicine in the United States, and asked him if he would be the editor-in-chief. And Dr. Houston agreed very eagerly because at that time, sports medicine didn't have much of a reputation in the orthopedic community. People didn't think it was a serious discipline, and so it was very difficult for orthopedic surgeons who were writing papers in the area of sports medicine to get them published in the general orthopedic journals. They just didn't respect the idea at all. So Dr. Houston took over, and at first the journal was very small compared to today because there weren't nearly so many submissions. But Dr. Houston really nurtured the journal. He actually had the offices at his Houston Foundation in Columbus, Georgia, and basically he subsidized the journal by using his own employees to do the work of the journal. But it gradually grew. It became affiliated with the American Orthopaedic Society for Sports Medicine.
Which year?
Which in 1974, so 2 years later. And in 1976, it became the official journal of the society. And that's when the name American was added to the title. It was just called the Journal of Sports Medicine. Okay. And then in 1979, the society purchased the journal from the original publisher and established a separate board of trustees for the journal, which I think has been very important in its development. Eventually, Dr. Houston decided that there should be a new editor, and Dr. Houston became the chairman of the board of trustees, and Dr. Robert Leach, who was the chair of orthopedic surgery at Boston University, became the new editor-in-chief. And he was editor-in-chief for about 11 years. He really developed the journal a lot of the modernization and expansion of the journal is due to his vision. He had a very international perspective, so he brought in a lot of international people to the journal. And just before he finished, he made the decision to publish the journal online, which I think really helped expand its audience around the world.
Exactly.
Then he said that he was retiring, and I was lucky enough, after an interview process, to be selected to be his successor in 2001. And I officially took over completely in January of 2002. I've been doing it since then. When I started, one of the first things I did was to move our submission process, which had been very manual, to an online submission process. And I think that really helped the expansion of the journal because it made it very easy for authors from all over the world to submit papers online. They no longer had to actually mail them in. And also it helped us to recruit reviewers from all over the world because it's very easy to ask people wherever they were to review the papers. So we became more international, and the journal continued to grow as it has to this day. Over the last couple decades, as you may know, we've added other affiliated publications. We added Sports Health in 2009, which is our multidisciplinary journal. Then in 2013, we added the Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine, AJSM, which is our open access journal. And we were among the very first open access orthopedic journals. And also one of the first to be rewarded in impact factor. So we're
I think that it is about 4 and more.
Yes, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. And then finally, 2 years ago, we added the Video Journal of Sports Medicine because we thought it was important that there be a source of high-quality, peer-reviewed videos available around the world. So we keep looking for the next thing, whatever is needed in the world of orthopedic sports medicine, and I guess that's why we've been able to continue to thrive.
Yes, it's amazing for me because I know that there is an emeritus professor, but it doesn't look emeritus. you keep very, very forward, especially nowadays when the digital techniques are very fast developing. And it's very important to have a video and to have online journals, and I think there is also a challenge with artificial intelligence, which is coming soon. How to recognize face or write signs.
Yes, well, we're working on that right now. This is a new development, and it's something I'm looking into. But there are ways to deal with this. I think individuals often need help in writing, and as long as they're not fabricating the research, I don't think there's anything wrong with them getting assistance from artificial intelligence to help with their writing. I can tell you, I know that many orthopedic surgeons are very smart, but they may not be the best at writing things. And that's certainly true of people in the United States as well as other places. So I'm not against the use of artificial intelligence as a way of helping people to write better, as long as they're not making things up using the artificial intelligence.
But you still need human as editors, as a reviewers. As a reviewers. How many reviewers currently do you have?
We have a few thousand reviewers. We're always looking for new good reviewers because people get older, or they get tired, or they have other interests that distract them. Obviously, there's some people that never get tired, and we have people on our editorial board that have been doing it for decades and are still very energetic. But I think some of our best reviewers are some of the younger orthopedic surgeons around the world and scientists. So we're always looking for good new people. And if anyone's listening out there in Poland that is enthusiastic and would like to be a reviewer, they should contact me.
Yes, I would also be, but my English and knowledge not enough strong to support you nowadays. But I think about the young generations, orthopedic surgeons, who probably are more involved to the science and to this digital world of the knowledge. And would you give them, especially for young doctors, young orthopedics, some remarks how to start properly?
Well, one thing I think is important is to be organized and to, in the words of our founding editor, Dr. Houston, document, document, document. Often, people start out, they're very busy in their practice, and they may not follow their patients as closely. Once the patient gets better, they release them. I think it's important to try to continue to keep data on your patients and to, if possible, use validated outcome measures so that when you want to do research, then you have the data that you need. And of course, it's always better to do prospective research. It takes some planning, and it takes longer, obviously, to plan a study and then see the patients and carry it out if it's a clinical study. But the quality is always much better. So my advice to young people would be start early, be organized, get data on your patients, and try to plan your studies prospectively so that they're higher quality. If at all possible, do comparative studies. They don't have to be randomized trials, but always when you compare one treatment with another, for example, or one group with another, the information is more convincing and more powerful.
Okay, thank you. And what about literature? How to distinguish the right papers, right titles, important titles, and reject the not valuable?
Well, I think it requires a certain knack, I would say, of recognizing where there's a void, a need in the literature. I think when you write your paper, one of the things I really stress is that in the introduction, it's very important to convince the reader, and before that the reviewer, obviously, that what you're investigating is very important, and it's important to know what you discovered. So don't just gather some information without a purpose in your mind, a question that you're trying to answer. That will make your research much more important and useful to the community.
Okay. And the last question, thank you for you spent so many minutes with me. But the last question which I have to give you is you're memorized from Poland. Do you have some good memories, I hope? And do you have a special, what was the most impressive to you?
Well, so many things, I mean, the first place I was in Poland was in Warsaw, and to see how the city was destroyed and how it was rebuilt so beautifully is inspirational to just witness the will and the ability of the Polish people to come back from such devastation. And then, I visited with you in Krakow, a very old city, and we saw some beautiful old buildings. I think we ate at a restaurant that was about 800 years old to see the beautiful history also. And then we visited the Pope city too, and that was very inspirational. And then the last time I was in Poland, I was in the city of Łódź, which was very interesting too, and made a lot of good friends there. So I have a lot of great memories of Poland.
That's great. So there is some more cities to see in Poland.
I know that.
That's why I would like to invite you, Bruce, for again trip to Europe, to Poland. I would be happy to host you one day in the future.
Sounds great. I'd love to come back.
Thank you very much for your support of orthopedic societies. Goodbye.